It's Sunday night, folks, and it's Tom Antion live from Virginia Beach. So glad you could make it tonight. I get my notes out here. Had some crazy computer problems. Had to switch computers for a big webinar we had for the Screw the Commute community, and stuff still coming in on that. Had a whole bunch of new members come in today. And this is a whole different deal. Hey, there's Orrin Hudson. How you doing, Orrin? Make sure that you put comments in, folks. Tell me who you are, where you're checking in from. No, Orrin's from Atlanta. And please share. Get more people on the show so I can keep doing it on Sunday nights. Thinking about moving into some other time slots, but if we can get enough people here, I'm happy for Sunday night. Make sure, hey, there's Alan Baris, Missoula, Montana. Hey, Tim, how are you? Nice to see you. All these people have been to my house. I like that. Homecoming we got. So, yeah, had some computer problems today. Had to switch, go into another place, and do my webinar, but thank God it worked out. Hey, John, how are you? Rome, Georgia. Orrin's from besomeone.org. Beautiful thing he's been running down there in Georgia for a long time. Hey, Tim. So, as always, we give a fair warning to people. There might be some new folks checking in from the webinar tonight. That this is a late night show. I can get a little out of hand sometimes with my language when I get talking about bad people. Hey, Mary, how are you? There is Super Jeff Herring. Still didn't tell me what I'm supposed to call you now. You used to be the article guy. What are you now, Jeff? So I guess it's time we get to our fake sponsor tonight. And our fake sponsor tonight are emergency toothbrushes. And, hey, Nicole, how are you? I'll tell you what, these things are awesome. I bought a whole, I think it was a flea market or something. I bought a whole bag. I think it must have been 30 or 40 of them in there. And they said Niagara Falls. Of course, this is backwards on Facebook Live, but these are so handy to have around. Now, this is our fake sponsor. In other words, they're not really sponsoring us. We always have a fake sponsor every Sunday, and we also usually have somebody looking over my shoulder. This is a horse of a different color that's watching over us. Last week was Santa Claus. We had Bill Clinton one time, so we always have somebody there. Jeff says, please get out of hand. I always do. So let's see what's coming up. In this episode, we got some interesting mailbag stuff. Somebody wants to know who's the toughest fighter I know. Let's see in the news. Guys, I suggest you get a screen protector for your cell phone when you hear what you're supposed to do with it. And also be careful where you leave your iPad. The bathroom is not the best place. And then check this out. 4 boob jobs for one girl, and she still lost her title. Wait till you hear this story. In the scam section, be still my heart. In the brutal self-defense tip, we're talking about hostage situations. In the internet, I want you to do lots of video. In the speaking tip, let's play bumper cars. How about that? And the a-hole of the week, it has to do with the American flag again. You know, I get mad about that. And the hero of the week, I'll tell you what, those that have less seem to be the best people sometimes. I just got to tell you. Please, everybody, put comments in. Hit your share button so we get more people on the show. Hey, Joe, how are you? And for those of you coming, hey, Kathy, mentioned you on the webinar tonight. She did the book cover for my upcoming book, Screw the Commute. And that's what the webinar was tonight that we did to promote that. It's 45 tips in 45 minutes. If anybody wants to hear the replay, that wasn't on there, just drop me an email. As soon as the replay is ready, I'll send it to you. And Kathy is one of the best book cover designers probably in the universe, maybe in the galaxy or the galactical places. I don't know. Hey, Joe. Yeah, and for those of you that I did get all the invitations out for those of you that joined the Screw the Commute community tonight. So check your email. If it didn't come when I'm done with the show here, I'll be around to try to help you get in there. When you do get in there, make sure you introduce yourself. Hey, David, how are you? Introduce yourself. Tell what you do. Get yourself an ad ready for Fridays, because on Friday you can blatantly advertise. Great. Okay, so let's get some announcements done here. I'm not sure I'm going to keep this show at this time slot. For a while yet I am, but I may be changing it. So if I don't show up, you can keep in touch with Tom Antion Live. That's where I put all the show notes, and it'll tell you if I've changed times or if I'm doing another show at a different time or something to see if it's maybe better for folks. Let's see. Well, shithead Colin Kaepernick is up to no good again. He's praising Castro now, so that's something. If you have a chance to rag on Colin, don't forget to do it. And we just had a webinar tonight, for those of you that weren't on it, about the private Facebook group. We did 45 tips in 45 minutes. Supposedly, it took me a little longer than that. Hey, Keith, how are you? And had, I think, 15 or 20 people sign up right away. There's more waiting for me when I get done with the show here. But if you want to join that community, have lots of feedback from lots of business tips. I'm in there 4 or 5 days a week putting tips in at least, and we got guest experts, and we got a $1 trial for 7 days, so it's no reason not to at least try it out. You can go to greatinternetmarketing.com/screw-the-commute. greatinternetmarketing.com/screw-the-commute. Now, for a lot of you new folks who are checking in tonight, I want you to write down this link, Antion.com, Antion.com/notify, Notify. Antion.com/notify. This is where a technology that was around years ago and then disappeared has now come back, where you can send direct to desktop notifications. Doesn't work on all browsers, but if you go to Notify, it'll tell you if it'll work for you. And once I get 100 people, I'll do a training session on how to use it. And it's free. You can upgrade to a paid version, but this gives direct to desktop, bypasses email. Hey, Luz, how are you? Notifications. So it's really cool. So get signed up, and I don't abuse it, so you only hear from me a couple times a week with it. But it's very good because you don't have to worry about spam filters. Okay, that's good. So let's get going here. The mailbag. Jeremy wants to know, how do I get started in internet marketing? I don't want a regular job. I think Jeremy's a young person. Well, the first thing, Jeremy, hey, Dusty, how are you? Don't get sucked in by all the hype, because a lot of people, and even your age, are making up a lot of stuff and acting like they're rich and just to sell stuff. So you got to stick with ethics when you're doing this, Jeremy. There's plenty of money to be made ethically out there. I'm a perfect example of that, because the last thing I'm going to do is screw somebody over, especially, calling myself a consumer advocate and everything. So, but one way, really, it's not cool, but to just start on eBay, because you can be going like instantly with no website or anything, and making money within a couple days. I mean, when those first dollars come in through the internet, it's really a memorable thing. So I'd say start on eBay, go to the Warriors Forum and sign up, and you'll start seeing a lot of the people that are in this. But again, don't get sucked into the hype. Okay, Alan says, let's see. Oh, he's going to have a good article in the Sunday issue of Safety and Self-Defense, defending against the blade. and that's because of last week's knife attack at OSU. That's at surviveanddefend.com. I'm going to be talking about something and also refer to Alan, so you want to write his website down, surviveanddefend.com, because we're going to talk about hostage situations, which just happened out of the blue instantly down in a bank in, I think it was a bank in Florida. Hey, Charlotte, how are you? Kirill, hey, Coach, what's going on, man? Boy, I wish I could get you back here and do some serve practice. Man, this guy was a pro tennis player and just kills on the serve. I just haven't got the hang of it. Hey, Roman, how are you? Good evening, dear Charlotte. Okay, so Barry wants to know, who's the toughest fighter you know? Well, it's got to be, one that I know, okay? It's because I see lots of fighters, but I personally know this guy, Tony Cicchini's his name. He was named by Black Belt Magazine as one of the top 20 street fighters in the world. And and I've spent 4 days taking lessons from him at his gym in Chicago. And let me tell you, I mean, you talk about one tough cookie. Oh my God. And I know a lot of tough guys, and I worked out with a lot of tough guys, but this guy can just tear your limbs off from any position on earth. And if you decide to defend one, he hits you 5 other times before you know what happened. So Tony Cicchini's his name, one of the top 20 living street fighters, according to Black Belt Magazine, and I believe it. I think it's Farley or Farley. I'm working on a speech. How long should it be? Well, Farley, I'm not sure if this is for a paid event or not, but if you're doing stuff for paid, you need to be a professional about it and have more than one version, because what happens if your time gets cut and you've got a perfectly timed out speech at 42 minutes and all of a sudden they tell you got 20? Then what are you going to do? You're going to go shit yourself basically in the bathroom and try to cut stuff. So you need to have various versions. And then here's a super tip for everybody that does speeches. Always have a quotation ready to substitute for a story that you had. That way, if you had a 3-4 minute story, you can cut 3 or 4 minutes, boom, without sweating it by putting a quotation that makes the same point. Now, yeah, I know you wanted to tell the story, but if you don't have the time, you just don't have the time. You just got to do what they tell you. Hey, David. Okay, so anyway, you should have multiple lengths of every speech. And also, and if you're getting paid for it, that way, when somebody asks you, well, how long do you need? And you say, hey, I have different versions that I can fill any time slot that suits you. That way you look like you're a person that's easy to get along with. See? Yeah, Luz, thanks. Yeah, great advice. Thank you. Yeah, feel free to comment, folks. Tell me your websites, and I'll give you a shout out here. Okay, so let's look at the news. I told you, this is a late night show, folks. So a Japanese researcher who happens to be in the U.S. doing his research at the University of Illinois at Chicago invented a health app for men. Well, that's nice. That sounds good, doesn't it, folks? All you men out there. Well, I can't make this stuff up, folks. Apparently, now this could be like a super trick on somebody. All right, but it was in the news anyway. The men have to ejaculate on their cell phone screens. No, I'm not making this up. I can't make this up. Apparently, they have a sophisticated lens that can take the picture of your semen and do a health screening based on. Now, I can see pulling a trick on. I mean, we used to pull tricks worse than that on in college, but I guess this is the updated version. But it's apparently real. Came from a reputable news source. So, okay. So next thing is, Roman says, did create Eve. I don't know what that means, but okay, so next thing is, oh, well, those of you that like your vegetables, if you live near Buffalo, New York, they had the food festival in July where they have the, you can take a shot at the Kale Cup. And it's a $2,000 prize for the people that can eat the most kale in 8 minutes. Apparently Gideon he won. He ate 25.5 bowls of kale in 8 minutes. I would hate to live with him the next day, put it that way. Joe Libby says, that ain't happening. I'm not sure if it's the kale or the cell phone. Oh, Dusty says there's a problem with that. I don't know, did you research this, Dusty, and try it out? You'd have to do it on the camera, which is on the back, or that tiny little camera in the front. I don't want people trying to aim with that kind of an arc. It says see more, but I don't know if I can't do it on this little screen. You got to be accurate, I guess. Okay, now this I call sick and sicker. Now this is a typical pervert, okay? This guy, Jeffrey Fortier, is 23 years old, got arrested in Arkansas in July because he got charged with video voyeurism. Because he had allowed a woman to shower in his home that he shared with his girlfriend. And so when the lady got out of the shower, she noticed an iPad propped up against the wall. And it was videotaping her in the shower. And when the police got there, he informed the deputies that, oh, this is all a misunderstanding. I can explain this, no problem. He said that earlier he had recorded himself, man, I can see telling the judge this, urinating because he wanted to sell the video to a urination fetish website. And he just forgot to remove it, the camera. I would say lock him up. Mary says, with the guys hitting the cell phone, most guys can't even hit the toilet, let alone their cell phone. Yeah, but you know, I think that's why I got this big iPhone 7 Plus to give me a better chance. Hey, Richard. The fake sponsor today, Luz, was portable toothbrushes from Niagara Falls. Okay, so let's see. Oh, I was telling you about the 4 boob jobs, and this girl still lost her event and had to turn her crown over to the runner-up. So this is a sad event. However, this comes from England's premier agricultural event, the Great Yorkshire Show. So the girl I'm talking about was a cow, not a mean word to say about a girl, a cow. The cow was stripped of her title because she was suspected of having artificially enhanced udders. I had to look it up to see how many udders a cow actually has, because even though I came from the sticks, we didn't have any cows. So the runner-up cow got to take the prize. Hey Marv, how are you? So that's our news for today. All right, let's get into the scam bag. And folks, all you new folks, that's where we find the scumbags, in the scam bag. So today's scam are called heartstring scams. And I know everybody on here is not dumb enough to fall for one of these heartstring scams. But as a public service, you should know about these and keep your eyes out for any friends or relatives that are falling victim to a heartstring scam. So what a heartstring scam is, and it's a lot of times somebody pretending to be in the military is targeting single women and trying to target and noticing if they're lonely, if maybe they're not spring chickens anymore. And actually, they probably don't want young girls because young girls don't have assets like older women would. So a heartstring scam is they play the person out. They start a long distance. Of course, the person's in Afghanistan or Iraq or something, and they might be living down the street for all you know. And they get to know, they talk. They're really good at pushing emotional buttons, and then they fall in love. And then they're going to get married. But then the guy gets redeployed for an extra 13 months, and he's got extra bills, and so he starts borrowing money. And it goes on and on and on until he soaks the woman dry, and there's nothing there at all. He might be doing this to multiple women at once. So if you see anybody that's got a long distance relationship, has never met the person, and sometimes even some of them are bold enough to meet you, but in most cases not, do whatever you can to warn them. And it's going to be hard when there's emotions involved, but you're doing them a favor because they're going to get wiped dry. Tell them about this. It's easy to find a lot of these online if you can show them examples. But what you'll find is a lot of people say, no, not this guy's different. Yeah. Then that woman's in really deep and is in trouble. All right, so that's your scam bag. Okay, your self-defense tips. Hostage situations. The reason I thought of this is because just this week, boom, I get a notice on my phone, live hostage situation in Florida, 11 people held hostage. And a lot of these hostage things are done by people that are paranoid, have a form of psychosis. And thanks for all the nice things, but I don't know what they're for exactly. The heartstring scam, maybe. And I don't pretend to be an expert on this. So I would refer you to more to Alan Baris on here, surviveanddefend.com, for his opinions on this. But there are some things that you want to keep in mind, and these can happen. This can happen anywhere. Alan says, I started it for the topic. I don't know what that means, but but anyway, I will give you some tips here. First of all, you don't want to be a threat. You don't have to be a crying, bubbling, person, but don't be a threat. Be relatively passive. Try to stay calm if you can, and do what you're told. Okay? Because, and if you're too helpful, too much on the side, that's bad too, because the person is a lot of times paranoid, and they think you're trying to trick them and get over on them, and that makes you a target. All right, so don't do anything wild, out of the ordinary to appear to be a target. The first thing is, if you have a chance, run away. Just run away. And a lot of people say, well, I can't leave my friends or coworkers. Yes, you can. Hey, George, how are you? And here's what you got to pre-plan in your mind. I am not abandoning those people. If I can run away, I'm going to run away. In fact, you are making a better chance that they can survive when the SWAT team guys ask you what's going on, because you were actually in there. You had eyes on what's happening, and that gives them an infinitely better chance that they can get the rest of the hostages out safely. All right? So run away if you can. Get the hell out. However, make sure your hands are visible all the time. On a previous show, we talked about the hands. You must watch people's hands. Well, every law enforcement on earth officer is going to be looking at your hands to make sure you're not a threat. So don't be coming out of here with your cell phone and they think you're drawing a gun, and boom, all of a sudden you're dead. All right? Don't even think about it. Make sure your hands are open. I go like this. Even if I got stopped on the road in a car, I put my hands on the steering wheel like this. Hello, officer. You know, tell him I got a concealed carry permit and talk to him, but my hands are visible all the time. Okay. Now, this is also why I'm not a big favor of open carry. And for those of you who don't know, open carry is where you can walk down the street, like right here in Virginia, with a gun on. It's perfectly legal. Because I'm telling the bad guy who to take out first. All right, if I'm sitting there with a gun on my hip, oh, I think I'll shoot that guy and take his gun. Now I got two guns, you know. So if you're going to carry concealed. And don't be a hero, okay? Unless you have an extremely high chance of success, just go along with things. Don't try to be a hero. Now, one thing that that you gotta balance here is there's a rule in self-defense is you don't want to be constrained. Usually, if you're constrained, you're just at the first crime scene, and then there's going to be another one when you're killed at the second crime scene. So most of the time, you want to fight it out before you allow anybody to constrain you. But if it's a whole bunch of hostages in one room, you're their bargaining chip to get what they want. So it might be okay to be constrained, but that's a really tough one. But if you're alone on a jogging path, absolutely. Fight it out there, scream, kick, scratch, whatever it takes to win. Hit them with a rock, poke their eyes out. But don't get in a car. Don't allow your hands to be constrained. Okay. Try to communicate with the other captives if you can. Try to see who's with you if you decide to rush the person. Or, see, there could be multiples too. So you got to be careful. You go after one and the other one takes you out. So you got to be careful if there's multiples. Also, you can type into Google psychology of a hostage taker, which would give you a lot of insights into the psyche of the kind of people that do this stuff. So, but again, here's the thing. I don't go to the bank, all right? I go to the ATM machine with my dog watching me after I've surveyed the building, make sure I can get in and out before anybody could get close to me. But avoid going to the bank. That's what the old Willie Horton said. Why do you rob banks? That's where the money is. Also, another tip we've given you in the past is don't go anywhere where there's an armored truck out front, like the grocery store. Come back later. Where do you think the bullets are going to start flying if somebody attacks that truck? All right, so pay attention. Don't go places where it's going to reduce the chances of any of this ever happening to you. And one of the main things in self-defense is you win 100% of the fights that you're not involved in. Okay, so stay out of trouble. Okay. Oh, and one other thing we talked about in a previous issue is if you are going to make a move on the captor, this is where we did a couple weeks ago, 0 to 100. You want to be passive and compliant until the time you're not. And then it's, and you just keep going until you stop the threat. You do not stop. You scratch, claw, kick, gouge, bite, whatever it takes to stop the threat at 100 miles an hour. But you don't want to, wind up from across the room and let them know you're coming. All right? It's got to be passive, 0, boom, 100 miles an hour. That's going to increase your chances of success enormously. All right. Okay, your internet tip. I want you to experiment with different types of video. I'm going to read off several different types right here. First of all, you got talking head. That's where it's just like I'm talking to you now. You got walking head. That's with a selfie stick where you're moving, but you don't have to have a whole crew. You can walk by yourself and do a nice video. You got screen capture. That's where you have something displayed on your computer screen, and they're seeing that while you're talking, narrating over it. That's screen capture video. The program we use for that is really the gold standard called Camtasia, Camtasia. But there's other ones out there. Then we have animation video. There's a program called Video FX. So it's F, the letter F and then X. You have whiteboard video. I think the program's called Explaindio. But whiteboard video is where you see the hand drawing on a whiteboard. Then you've got ugly video. People say my talking heads are ugly video, but that's not the true definition. Ugly video is where all it is the words that you're saying on PowerPoint slides. And in some cases, this converts very well. And for the screen capture, the animation, the whiteboard, and the ugly video, you don't have to have a good hair day. You could be naked and doing them, and nobody sees you. Okay, so and then the last one is Animoto type videos. That's a service where you upload some text about your product. I mean, I'm talking little one-liners, about your product, some pictures and some other little video clips, and it combines them all into a professional-looking video. And it has royalty-free music that'll go along with your video. And guess what? If you didn't like your video, you hit the button and it redoes the whole thing again differently and see if you like that one. So that's called Animoto. So you've got to get video going in some fashion. And there's plenty of ways here if you're afraid if you don't like your face on it. Now, a lot of people start out that way, but guess what? None of us are perfect. None of us are supermodels. If you are, good for you. But if you're sincere and you practice a little bit and you give good information, you'll gain a following. It's just everybody can do it. Dusty says, hairy hands video, point of view, good for showing how-to stuff. And Dusty says, I do these for my 2-minute tarot tips on YouTube. Yeah, Dusty is like one of the top experts in the world on tarot, and got real best-selling books, not the crap, just Amazon best-selling books. Okay, so that's your internet tip. Speaking tip. This is a term I coined. Oh, it's absolutely my term. Probably around 1994, something like that, called bumper car transitions. Now, when I go, some of you have seen me speak, some maybe not, but if you see me speak, nobody gets up and goes to the bathroom, all right? Nobody zones out on me, and here's why. I'm pretty good after doing this for a long time, but a lot of it is technique that anybody can learn. And what I call bumper car transitions is that I don't do what all the Toastmaster rejects do. I'm not going to do the old tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them, and then tell them what you told them. Puke. No, I don't want you to know what's coming up, because if you know what's coming up, you can say, well, I know what's coming up. I don't care about that so much. I want you sitting there wondering, what is he going to do next? What is he going to say next? And you don't know. So you'll miss it if you get up and leave or if you zone out. So I call these bumper car transitions where, man, I might, and that's why a lot of times my material doesn't flow like an educational designer would want it to flow. Because, again, people zone out if they see where the road is leading, blah, 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 blah. And that might be okay for a book or an online course. I pay more attention to this when I've got an online course. It has to be logical. If I'm writing a book, it has to go in logical fashion. But when I'm doing a speech, my job is to knock you between the eyes and get you to do something, all right? And so it's a different atmosphere. So these bumper car transitions means you never know what I'm going to say, what topic I'm going to hit you with next. I mean, so I might be talking about X, and then I say, all right, hey, you know what, X is great, but what about Y over here? You got to do this, X, Y, Z, Y over here. And then you think Z's next? No, A is next, or Q is next. So you never know what's going to hit you. So I call that bumper car transitions. Don't do the old tell them what you're going to tell them crap, because that's old. That was old 50 years ago. All right. Now let's go to the asshole of the week. The asshole of the week is the snowflake president of Hampshire College. His name is Jonathan Lash, and he's one of these piece of garbage super liberals that's just, I mean, there's a website, God, I wish I could remember, I heard on the radio, they're making a website of these super liberal professors that are just trying to jam this progressive bullshit down the students' throats, and they're being successful at it, really. But this guy is the guy that refused to fly the American flag at the college. And I'll tell you what, it's lucky all those veterans just came up there with flags rather than M16s or M4s to put this guy where he belongs. I know that sounds harsh, but I mean, it's damn lucky Hillary didn't get elected, because Trump's not going to put up with this, whatever you think about him. At least he, at least claims to care about America. But this asshole had to fold because the pressure came down so hard. They're probably going to fire him, I imagine, because these groups are just coming after him for being, so disrespectful. So asshole of the week is Jonathan Lash, the snowflake president of Hampshire College in Massachusetts. Okay, now the hero of the week. I like animal heroes, and I like heroes that I can give credit to, that their name is known. But I also like unsung heroes, and I wish I could meet this guy somewhere. I would do something for him. I would give him a break if I could locate him and find out who it is. And I don't know his name. I'm going to tell you about him right now, and you can see the story on my timeline if you scroll down far enough at my personal timeline. It's a guy. It's a black guy leaning over on the sidewalk over like a plastic bag. Well, the story is there was a homeless kid, I think 15 years old or something, in sub-zero temperatures, standing out begging on the street, totally homeless, for about 2 hours, and actually shivering to the point where he had to take a garbage bag. He was almost probably getting hypothermia, and he got in the garbage bag and just a thin little garbage bag, and laid on a concrete sidewalk in sub-zero temperatures with a torn t-shirt. It's all he had. And God, this emotionally, grabs me. So this black guy comes up to him and says, "Hey, what's up with you? Look, you're shivering. You shouldn't be out here." And the black guy was homeless, but he had a big old thick jacket. And so he took off the jacket and he put it on this young boy, and he talked to the boy, and he talked about his, do you have parents? Do you have a place? We got to stick together. I can't let this happen to you. I mean, I want to cry. Like I said, some of the people that have the least are the best people. They appreciate things. And I don't know what his name is. If somebody looks down and somehow recognizes it, or, I'm going to do something for this guy if I can find him. But that's our unsung hero of the week. He'll go nameless because I have no idea what his name is, but it just makes me think about all the people that have everything. And they had video of just people passing this kid like left and right and just totally ignoring him. People that probably had everything, and the guy that has nothing but a coat on his back gave it to the kid that didn't have a coat on his back. That's the kind of thing that moved me, folks. I sit here in this house by myself and got my dogs. Like I said, I like most dogs more than most people. but I love to see good in the world. It makes me feel like things are worth it. When I deal with all this these bad people and scammers, and I see rip-offs everywhere, and this kind of stuff keeps me going. I want to have this YouTube inspirational weekend someday. If it costs a lot of money to put an event off at the house here, but love to see to do that one of these days, and because that's what I do to keep fired up is I watch YouTube videos, especially Britain's Got Talent, America's Got Talent, and I watch for the underdog making it. I just love that so much, and that's why as big a jerk as Simon Cowell is that runs those things. I read this book on how to become a billionaire. And it wasn't a hokey book. It was how billionaires really made it. Most of them did something to change the world. And so Simon Cowell changed the world with these shows that he put on and gave chances to people that would have never had a chance. So even though he's kind of a jerk, that's probably kind of a shtick, he's really made a lot of people's lives for them that didn't have a chance at all. So anyway, that's our show for tonight. Like I said, I'm not sure we're going to keep doing Sundays probably for a while yet until I experiment with some other times. So as always, stay home if you can. Screw the commute, right? Go join Screw the Commute, by the way. GreatInternetMarketing.com/Screw the Commute. Get the $1 trial or get the whole year and save $150. Anyway, stay home, stay safe, and make some money while you're doing it. Catch you later.